computer. Okay. Hi, everyone. I am here today with Lynda Rees. She is a Pendleton County resident now and an award-winning storyteller from Kentucky. She was born in the Appalachian Mountains, the daughter of a coal miner, and she's part Cherokee Indian. Lynda grew up in northern Kentucky when Newport prospered under the Cleveland mob. Having traveled the world with heads of industry, foreign governments, and business managers during a corporate marketing and global career, this free-spirited adventure with workaholic tendencies followed her passion for writing. Both debut novels are award winners: Gold Lust Conspiracy, and the other one is Parsley, Sage, Rosemary, and Wine, which is part of the Bloodlines series. She's going to talk a little bit about those books a little later, so I'm not going to give you any more information on those. I don't want to take that away. Good morning, Lynda.
Good morning. Thank you for having me, Fran. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for being so gracious to attend this today. It's a little out of our norm. First of all, I'd like you just to kind of tell us what got you into writing. What do you like about writing?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I have these voices in my head telling me to put them on paper. They keep me awake at night. I've been wanting. I've written since I was a child. I learned to read at the age of 4 with my grandfather on the front porch reading the Bible, and I've been fascinated with stories and history ever since. I spent many years in the corporate world working for Procter & Gamble, and I've written everything from training manuals to proposals, business proposals, and advertising copy, but my passion's always been writing stories. I have so many stories in my head that I have like 4 or 5 things going on at the same time.
Oh, wow.
And different levels of completion. So it's just something I have to do. I don't feel like my day's complete unless I've spent some time on my computer putting some words onto the paper.
So did all this traveling that you did inspire any of your books?
Absolutely. And it works its way into my stories as well. Yeah, working in the corporate world, I negotiated ocean freight rates for Procter & Gamble and worked in marketing there as well. And so I got to travel all over Asia and Central and South America, working with government and heads of industry, the shipping industry particularly, and distributors and manufacturers. And so I got to understand a lot about a lot of different cultures, and sure. I just dearly love working with people.
Okay, so did anyone you meet in all this time frame become the basis for a character?
Oh, there's a trick question there. Let's just say everyone I meet
has the potential. Okay.
Yeah, be careful. You may end up
yes, I know. Now everyone's going to read it that ever worked with you and say, "Well, that sounds like me." Right?
Yeah. Well, hopefully people will relate that way. That's what you want as an author. You want people to relate to the characters that you create.
Sure.
And every character is a fabric of my imagination, and they have little bits and pieces of different people, or little bits and pieces of me. So, they all come from my imagination. But everybody and everything I see and hear, becomes fodder for my book.
Of course, that makes sense. You got out of that one nicely. Are you currently working on a book?
Well, I'm currently working on several books.
Okay.
I have one book that's in with some publishers for review. It's called Flip or Flop. And that one's about it was actually named in a contest by one of my readers here in Northern Kentucky. in Pendleton County, and I did a little contest trying to find a name for it, and one of the girls here, Holly Feltner, actually helped me name
Okay.
the book. But I
Well,
got a
that's
lot of
neat.
great suggestions from my fans. That one is waiting for the publisher to decide if they're going to take that one or not. And one way or another, it's going to end up in print.
Okay.
But I also have a children's book, a young children's book, picture book, which I'm working with an artist right now to develop the creative
Mhm.
part of it. The story's written and ready to go, waiting for that final artwork. I have a, I have a book on buying your first home, which is a non-fiction,
Nonfiction.
and another one about building a financial security, becoming a homegrown millionaire. Which those two will be out next spring.
Okay.
And I have another book that is called Unwilling Donor, which will be the follow-up for Heart Scrolls, which we'll probably talk a little bit about today.
Okay. Any challenges that you face in writing?
Time. Time is the
Time.
worst challenge. Just working, with making sure there's time for my family, and in a social life, as well as
Right.
having time. You got to have your butt in the seat and in order to write, and it takes a lot more than just putting words on paper. You have to learn about the industry. The industry is constantly changing. It's drastically changed over the last few years, and it's an ever evolving thing. So, networking with other authors and working with the various organizations I belong to, the professional writing organizations. Um, we, as authors, we owe it to other authors or upcoming authors to help them learn how to become print worthy.
Right.
And it's not just putting a story on paper, it's learning how to tell it in a way that draws the reader into the world and the character and the emotions of what's going on.
Sure.
Take them out of their everyday life and bring them into your world. So if you can do
Okay.
that for someone and give them a few moments of entertainment, and maybe a message, something that they can relate to, or something that will help them in their own lives, that's what you aspire to as a writer.
Okay. I'm going to give you a few minutes now to kind of plug some of your books. So, which one do you want to start with?
Well, Hearts Girl is one
Okay.
that is dear to my heart, because it it's about it provides a message about something that's a very scary topic, and something that most people don't believe is really that prevalent today, but it is, and that is human trafficking. And there
Right.
not a day goes by that I don't see on television and in social media um, some child that's been abducted or is missing, and that's a very frightening thing. And it's become a huge industry, very profitable and very simple, and our children are being preyed on. And so my way of bringing the message that the way we can combat this terrible epidemic is by bringing the message to the public and letting people become aware that it's not just somebody else's neighborhood or somebody else's children. It's
Right.
everywhere, in every economical environment and in every neighborhood. Children are being preyed upon. And so becoming aware of what the symptoms are and who is vulnerable to this, can help us to combat this. and protect our children and help them learn to protect themselves. As a writer, I bring entertainment to my readers. Hopefully, that's my goal,
Right.
is to entertain my readers. And so I brought this message in the form of a romantic mystery with some very intriguing characters. Reggie Case is one of my characters from the Bloodline series, but this book, Hearts Girls, is a spinoff of that, and in the same neighborhood, Sweetwater, Kentucky. It's a rural setting where, you wouldn't think of this sort of thing happening. It's a very affluent neighborhood. It's full of wealthy horse farms, and it's right in central Kentucky. So it's an area where you really wouldn't think of children being preyed upon, but it happens everywhere. Reggie is an FBI agent, and she teams up with, and people have asked me for Reggie to have a love interest. So that's why I made this spinoff, because Reggie's a real wild character, and she's a flirt, and she's outrageous, and she's very determined to protect the citizens of the United States as an FBI agent. But she teams up with someone who she kind of clashes with up front, and they resent each other's interference in their case, but they're both working for the same goal, which is to protect the children and to put an end to the human trafficking in and around Sweetwater. So she teams up with Deputy Shay Montgomery, and after they get past their fussing and fighting, they learn to work together and solve the immediate crimes in the neighborhood.
And this is the one that you are currently working on. It's being reviewed.
This is the one that came out in the spring.
Okay, so it is out.
Published in the spring, and it's out there now it's in ebook and in print.
Okay.
And it's available on Amazon and Kobo and Apple and all of those other Barnes and Noble, all those websites online. I believe you have it in your library as well, and it's in some of the other libraries in the Northern Kentucky area.
Okay.
Hearts Girls has a spinoff, and that's the one I'm working on now.
Okay.
I've just begun that one. Got it in sort of a loose outline so far. So that one won't be coming until the next spring, and that's going to be called Unwilling Donor, and it brings up another topic of the same sort, little different way of it happening, but it's got the same characters, and it's a continuation of the love story that between Reggie and Shay.
If they were still in love, so they still are. Now, some of your books were self-published, if I'm thinking correct. Am I right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Correct. Any advice to anybody going down that path?
Yes. Make sure before you put something out there to be published that it's print worthy. When I first decided to publish something other than what I was publishing in my corporate career, it took me a couple of years to understand that it's not just telling a story. It takes learning how to tell that story in book format, and so you may have a fabulous story you want to tell, but unless you can put it in a format that makes the reader step into that character's life, it's not ready to be published. You make sure that you use a professional editor, because they can be your worst nightmare, and you're going to hate it when they tear your books apart. But that's the best gift you can give yourself, is to let them help you, because editors, a professional editor knows what they're doing, and they will. Their job is to help you put that book into the format that's going to just make your readers love it. The worst thing you can do is put a bad book out there, a badly edited book that's not going to help you move your career forward and draw your readers in so that they can't wait for your next book.
Right.
Learn about the industry as well, because that can really help you to grow as an author.
Sure. And then you did I guess, transition to having a publisher, correct?
I've worked with a publisher, yes, and
Okay.
and I am now currently, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, any advice, any comparison between the two? Any advice that you can give using self-publishing versus a publisher? Is it easier to self-publish and then get a publisher? What can you tell us about that?
It takes longer to get to publish status through a publisher, simply because they only have a certain, each publisher has a budget every year.
Mm-hmm.
They have a certain number of dollars to spend, and they have several different categories of genres they want to publish. So even though they may love your book, if you get turned down by a publisher, it does not mean they don't want your book or they don't think it's publish worthy. It just means that it doesn't fit into what they're trying to get out there in 1 year. And it takes them usually a year to 2 years to get your book out to press. Where
Wow.
if you're doing it yourself, there's a lot of learning there to learn how to do that, because it's not a difficult, I mean, it is a difficult process. Once you've done a few books, it's easier because you understand the steps that are involved. But there's a lot to getting it out there. You can't just write a book and then you don't just slap it on, Amazon or wherever. It has to be in a certain format. It has to be edited. It has to be what they call formatting, which is putting it into the type of software. It has to be specifically sized. I mean, there's just so many things about it that are complicated. So it takes learning a lot of different systems. You have to go out yourself and find an artist to create the cover. You have to go out it yourself and find somebody to format it for you, usually, because most of the time the individual does not have the software to create the formatting that goes into it. And then to get it uploaded, because Apple, for instance, used to have to have a Mac. Now I've heard that they have some way that you can upload a different format from a Windows format.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Computer. But so you have to find all of those resources. You have to find a good editor. And because most of them work for publishers or they work for agents, so there's a lot to learn. It's a learning process, and it all takes a lot of time, which
Mm-hmm.
takes away from what you as a writer, your goal is to sit at the table and write your books. It's not to spend all that time doing all the technical administrative parts of it. So there are two parts to being a writer. You have to wear two different heads, and if you're going to be a self-publisher, you have to wear three heads, because you're a writer first and foremost. So you're putting words on paper, and then there's the administrative part of getting it done. If you're going to be, you want to be a self-published author, an indie author, and then there's the business of writing, which is, once your book is published, who cares, unless people know it's out there. So there's the business of it, which means as soon as my book is published, I've got to try to put a different hat on and become a marketer. So you need to get out there and let people know your book is there. You need to do marketing, and that's something you have to do every day too. So that takes away from your writing too. So as soon as you finish one book, you should be starting another book, but you have all these other hats you have to wear too. So if you're working with a traditional publisher, there are small press publishers, and they will put together some kind of a marketing ideas for you. They'll do a little bit of marketing for you, and they expect you to do the majority of it.
Sure.
And then if you're working with a big publisher, they're going to put together the same sort of thing. It might be a few more dollars against it, but they're still going to expect you to do your part. So you're going to be involved in the marketing of it, no matter how you go about it. The question is, do you want to do that administrative part of it in between?
Sure. And just listening to that part that you were talking about, I was thinking that probably networking with other authors is pretty important as far as learning the business and support and whatever. Are there those kinds of opportunities in Northern Kentucky?
Oh, absolutely. Most of the networking I do is with the organizations I belong to, and I do that online. And then hopefully once or twice a year, I get together with the people there that I network with every day. I belong to the Romance Writers of America and several chapters of that. My favorite being Kiss of Death chapter, and that's because that's mystery, which is my
Sounds
favorite
like
in
it.
here. Although I write several things, mystery is my favorite. So I belong to Kiss of Death, and so the organization has many very inexpensive online classes about the industry, about crafts. They have all kinds of networking opportunities, and so it's important to get involved with other authors and learn from them, because they're the true experts out there, and authors love to help other authors. That's something
Sure.
I found. They're just the warmest group of people I've ever met. I found my people. But I
Good.
also belong to other organizations like Sisters in Crime, which has a lot of the similar things. And then there's the Mystery Writers of America, and I belong to a group from Louisville called the Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. And currently we are writing a mystery play about prohibition, which will be it will be enacted as soon as the COVID thing is lifted. It will be enacted in the Fraser Museum in Louisville, which is the beginning stage of where the Bourbon Trail starts. And they have a beautiful little speakeasy and bourbon tasting room, speakeasy display in their museum. It's just gorgeous, and I think that's going to be the setting of the play we're writing for them right now.
Oh wow! Well, neat. That sounds interesting and fun
very
too.
Fun. Yes.
Yes, it's kind of a little different for you though.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. I recently took with the Romance Writers America. We had an online Zoom type of conference this year instead of having our national conference, which is scheduled to be in San Francisco. We had to do Zoom this year, so I was still able to get some classes in, and I took a class in playwriting, which I think is a big help to us this year, and with the Dirty Rotten Scoundrels.
Well, cool. Okay. Well, I really thank you for taking the time to talk to us today. Is there anything that I haven't asked you about that you'd like to tell viewers?
Well, I would love to tell. Oh, I forgot to tell you, I'm also writing a cookbook.
Oh, neat!
And it's going to be out very soon.
Good.
Yeah, I would just love to tell your readers that my books are on, especially the easiest place to find them is on Amazon. All they have to do is put my name in, or look for the name of one of the books. And I would love it if they would join my VIP group. Any of your readers who join my VIP group and reach out to me via email, I would love to give them a free audiobook.
Oh, cool.
Because Heartsgirl is coming out any day now in audio as well. Okay.
And they can reach that VIP group. Is that on your website, Facebook?
It's on my website.
Okay.
It's also, let's see, I can tell you what it is. Just let me pull up this.
Sure.
Did I send you any links at all to put up there? I don't know if I did or not.
I'm not
They
sure.
can reach it. They can reach me at it's bit.ly/33 small f small c capital O small u small y. And if they will, or they can go to my website and they can find how they can
Okay.
join my VIP group there. It's LyndaReesAuthor.com.
Okay. Yeah, I'm looking here, and I do have the link for become a VIP. So I will post that on the description of this little clip for you.
Okay. If you would
Okay.
like, I can put together a PowerPoint and send you, if you want to edit it into the last page of this or something, my links, my web
Okay.
links.
I think you did send them to me, so I can, if you want, it's however you want to do that, that would be fine.
Okay. Right.
Okay, and I just want to thank you again for joining me today. It's certainly been interesting talking with you, and good to meet you finally. We do have some of Lynda's books in the library. You can find those through our card catalog.
And I
So,
was just telling Fran before the interview that I did most of my research for Gold Blast Conspiracy right there in the Pendleton County Library.
and I didn't even know she was in there. It was
I
probably
spent a
there.
lot of time in that library. I dearly love that library.
Well,
We are
thank you.
so lucky to have such a great library in our county.
Well, thank you. Okay, this is going to conclude this part of our program today. We do invite you to also tune in to the other 3 authors who are giving their time to talk with us during National Novel Writing Month. So I thank everyone for joining us today, and I really thank Lynda for making the effort to be here with us today. Thank you again.
Fran, and I can't wait to see those other interviews.
Great. Bye for now, everyone.
Bye-bye.